Welcome to Badger Tough Inside the Circle. I'm assistant coach Craig Pokorny here with Hall of Fame head coach Alan Pokorny. We're going to give you a rundown of the week in Bennington Wrestling and a little preview of what's to come. Just a reminder, you can ask us any questions you want answered on the show by hitting up our Twitter, emailing coach, however you want. We'll try to get things answered. We're going to actually mix it up a little bit today by doing the state duels wild card first. But before that, just a reminder that all our shows are brought to you by Midwest Designs. Go to midwestdesigns.org and check out the biggest thing for people listening is the clear bags. State wrestling's coming up on us, and if you want to walk into the CHI Health Center now, you got to have a clear bag if you want to bring stuff in. Otherwise, you're going to carry it on your arms.
4 weeks from yesterday,
Yeah,
is the end of it. So we're down to the end.
Yep.
So they better hurry up and get those bags if they want them.
Yeah, and about 10, 11 days left to get that $5 off each thing during January. If you order it in January, we'll take $5 off. So again, MidwestDesigns.org. Like I said, we're going to start off with State Duels Wild Card today. The update as of noon today. So they actually ran it this weekend. Trying to give everybody an update since we're getting down to the wire. And we're sitting 13th right now at 16-10. We got 42.4615 points. What that means in the whole scheme of things is even with a win over Papio next week, it's really unlikely for us to jump all the way up to 8th. I just ran the numbers this afternoon. We'd get to like 43 something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but still wouldn't be enough. So,
and don't forget, other results could also change that too.
Yeah, I looked into those, and we'd have to have like everybody.
Well, sure,
blow
yeah.
up, so
yeah, I'm not saying I'm expecting this to jump everybody, but some things like I know Beatrice is on the verge of going up another level, and if they do, that helps us.
Mm-hmm.
But. Chances are slim and none, but
slim none.
So you're saying we have a chance? There's a chance.
The slimmest of chance if everything goes right for us. The right teams win, the right teams lose. The top 8 are Blair, Sydney, Columbus, Lakeview, Lexington, Schuyler, Central City, Northwest, and Hastings. Wahoo and Scott are sitting right on the outside looking in at 9 and 10 within 0.2 of a point. So they're right there, but Wahoo has a dual tournament this coming weekend at Papillion La Vista.
And that's a tough one. That
is a tough one.
That could help or hurt them, but probably help them more than hurt them.
Yep. And then Scott is done with their duels. So they're not in control of their own destiny. They're waiting to see what other people do. So they're not out of the woods, not out of it yet, but they got to rely on everybody else to land just right to get into it.
And just a little comment on that. They're 6-2, something like that, I believe. That's one of the dangers of not scheduling a lot of duels. They don't schedule a lot of duels. They lost one duel to Plattsmouth.
Yep.
And that was a winnable duel for them. And so if you don't schedule a lot of duels, where like we have our 8 normal duels, then we have their dual tournaments. You take a loss that you shouldn't take, that knocks you down real fast. Yeah,
their 2 losses are Plattsmouth, like you mentioned, and Wahoo. So that hurts quite a bit, especially that loss to Plattsmouth. Wahoo being a tier 1, I guess that didn't hurt them nearly as much, but
yep. Yeah. And in Wahoo's situation, if I remember right, I don't have it in front of me, but I know you do. I could pull it up, but might as well not right now. But I know what their situation is. I think they only have 2 losses, but they have a fair amount of duels, 14, 15 duels. I don't know.
16-2 right
16-2. That's an excellent record. We're 16-10, and we're not that far behind them.
Right.
We have 8 losses, but our schedule is a lot tougher than theirs, and so that's a great example of you need to schedule tough competition. If you want to make the state dual tournament, and so just reinforces what I think what we're scheduled is. We schedule to make ourselves better. By competing against strong teams, and in the end, that's what's going to get to the state duels. If we if we turn 4 of those losses into wins, we're probably ahead of them and looking at the state duels. So, and with the team, that where we're normally at, probably 80-90% of the years, we're probably just fine where we're at. So anyhow, just
Wahoo only has one Class A team that they've wrestled this year. They're gonna have a few more this weekend at the Papillion La Vista dual tournament, but
that's why I said that'll probably help them out a lot there.
Yep. Hopefully, hopefully they pick up some wins on Class A, can move up. Everybody ahead of them's obviously hoping they lose, but. So that's kind of the state duels wild card update. I wanted to get that out of the way earlier, so we didn't have a spoiler later on in the show, which we kind of probably already did anyways throughout the last couple of days. But anyways, that's state duels wild card. General recap of our week. We didn't have the Lexington invite on Saturday, obviously, but we had Omaha Burke and we had Elkhorn JV this week on Monday. But what are your thoughts on practice schedule and other things?
There's nothing exciting about practice schedules. At this point in the season, it's more just going out there and working on the things from the duel, from our competition, just working on getting better what we've shown already and what we need to work on. We did have a practice on Saturday afternoon. Since we didn't go to Lexington, I gave him Friday off because, obviously school's canceled and we were given a short window in the morning to go, but we already talked to the guys on Thursday about the plans that if we weren't going to go, we were going to go practice Saturday afternoon because looking at the forecast, the weather was going to be cold, but not, snowy or rainy, freezing rain or anything like that we would have been safe to get out. So we went ahead, did go with the Saturday afternoon practice, and actually I thought it was a very good practice overall. Guys were, really intense and worked hard, and so I was really happy with that because sometimes you go into a practice like that nobody expected to have a practice on a Saturday. Disappointed that we weren't competing, that they might come in sluggish and not willing to work hard, but they did, so I was really happy with that.
Yep. Like I said, Monday we had the Elkhorn JV tournament there. Had a number of guys competing in that. Came out with a few medals, and overall, I thought it was a pretty good dual tournament, or not dual tournament, JV tournament. It always is. It seemed like it was a little bit bigger this year. Maybe had some more guys because we were there till like 11:30. So
that's pretty ridiculous. That's way too long on a school night, and hopefully they get that fixed. In the past, it hasn't been that late. It's been between 10 sometimes, and I think the latest was 10:30 before, and we thought that was way too late.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they get that corrected and either put another mat down because they can put 4 in that gym.
They used to put 4 with the varsity tournament in the past.
That's right. So they can put another mat down to speed things up, or just start earlier. Start an hour or two earlier, and that'll help out some.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd like to get those things done at least before 10 o'clock. I mean, even 10 o'clock, you're way kind of late on a school night. So
yeah.
Hopefully they get that taken care of in the future. We'll see.
Yep. Like I said, we had 3 guys that medal. One of them was Dawson Frost at 113.
3, or you're talking maybe 4? I think there was more than that.
Well, maybe 4. Maybe it was.
Anyhow, we can go through the guys. I guess. I didn't make it there. I like to make it there normally, and that was kind of a little goof not making it there. I mean, the plans were they had a school board meeting, and I needed to be there for some club stuff going on. Working out an agreement with that was going to be presented to the school board, and at the last minute, I found out that it wasn't going to be presented, and since it wasn't being presented, I ended up sticking around a little bit longer at Badger Elite, and by the time I realized, oh yeah, we're wrestling, it had me all thrown off that school board meeting. But I was driving home thinking, all right, well, if I can go up there yet, but I'll probably get there towards the end of it, so I might as well. I was about 9 o'clock thinking I'll probably miss most. I'll just hit the few of the finals matches. I might as well go home and look up it on track wrestling. And
Nope.
got home, got the contacts out, changed clothes, grabbed something to eat, and kind of looking at the track wrestling like, whoa, they got a long ways to go yet.
Yeah, we're
So
still going. But yeah,
I
4
almost put my stuff back on and took off, but it's like, well, shoot, this late. So anyhow,
Well, we had, like I said, 4 guys medal, not 3. And even I was a little slow getting there with a few other things going on. So I know they started off 1, 2, 3. I think Blaze said they had 3 guys going at one time, so he had to work kind of hard coaching wise. But yeah, running down through the guys, Dawson took 3rd. He won his first match and then lost in the quarters, but then he really went on a tear after that. He had a Bailey Thiel from Platteview, beat her, and then he had a kid from Gretna who was the varsity 106 for him last year, and this kid looked the part, looked like a strong wrestler, was super aggressive, but I think it kind of the way the kid went after Dawson kind of made Dawson mad, so they kind of battled a little bit in the first, and then in the second, kid chose bottom, and Dawson just went to town on him. Just turned him, and ended up pinning him in the third period, early in the third period. So, or I guess late in the second. So yeah, he just it's like he got mad at the kid and just took it to him. And then in third place match, once again he was just aggressive, had a smart match, and beat a pretty decent looking kid as well. So.
Well, that's good to hear because Dawson's really working hard in practice, and and him and Hunter. In fact, I almost have to tell them to back off a little bit. When they're drilling, they're almost going live, and at that point, it's like you guys got to let the other guy do some of the technique. You got to drill the technique. We'll go live later,
right?
So focus on the technique we're trying to drill, but that's good to hear that. He came out and got a 3rd place. Got a lot of wins to get there too.
Yeah. We had a number of guys win 1 or 2 matches and not quite medal. Going up to 126, Isaac Jacobs just basically tore through the tournament real quick. All first period pins. Not a lot to say there to say a kid pinned his way through the tournament in the first period, but he ran through it pretty quick and really was just kind of a man on a mission to beat everybody quick and did so. At 138, Nick Law took 2nd place. Had to buy the first round and then won the next 2, and had a tough kid from Elkhorn South, and just got caught and pinned in that last finals match.
Yeah, we had a few other guys there too.
Mm-hmm.
In there, Phoenix Russell looked like he had 4 matches. I mean, how's he looking out there in competition? That when he wrestled, what'd you think about that?
He looked pretty good. Went 2-2. Lost his first one, then won 2 in a row. Won 1 and was scared the other kid, so the other kid forfeited, and then lost a relatively close match. If I remember right, his loss was to Metal, and
it was 7.
Yeah, it was a really close match at the end. The score was like 13-6, but he was, if I remember right, he was coming back and he just had to kind of go for something and like down 6-8 and had to get a takedown and was getting aggressive and in going for the takedown got put on his back and in kind of a scramble. So that's kind of where it went to the 13. So a lot closer match than the score shows.
Yeah, he's doing good in practice too, and one of those guys that just started middle school that. I see a lot of positive things coming out of him. His work ethic in the fall and the weight room, in summer, it's really impressive. And work ethic in the practice room that give him some time. He's going to be a guy that really going to help us down the road, I think.
Right. 120, Trevor got 1 win. He pinned a kid from Syracuse. Let's see.
He got hurt again in his last match apparently, and so he's been sent out of practice. But he yesterday talking to him. He's feeling better, so hopefully we can get him back soon. He's a guy that he hasn't been able to wrestle much because of injuries this year, but starting out, he's very aggressive. He just needs to settle down and work solid technique, and he might be one of those guys in a couple of years that to watch out for. But we got to get him healthy first so he can learn and develop the technique, because you can't learn and develop it sitting watching.
Yep. And then Nico and Keaton both had wins. They both had a win by a pin in their tournament. Didn't neither place, but both picked up a win.
Yeah, I mean, Evan, you was in there too. Did you get?
I think he went 0-2.
Yeah, I see that. He had a couple buys in there, but now he's another one of those guys. He never wrestled before this year, and sometime in his late spring or something, or he had mentioned he's interested in wrestling, and it's really hard to start do anything. He came to camps this last summer. It's really hard to go to a camp when you've never wrestled before, but he came and he tried, and I was worried about whether he would give up on it too soon, because you're going to a camp. They're not really teaching you the beginning and the basics of it right away. They're just showing you technique and then throwing you into some live matches. At Valentine without learning some of the basics is hard, and so. But he's a hard worker. I noticed that in the weight room too this fall. I mean, him and Phoenix are just two of the best kids overall, and there's probably 25, 30, well, actually 30 plus kids that came to our weight room this fall working out, and mostly they were basketball and baseball players, but we had about 5 or 6 wrestlers, and I'd say that those two guys were the hardest workers in there, and so and Evan works hard in the practice room. That I'm really pleased with his progress so far. Whether he understands it or not, but with his work ethic, if he keeps that up for 4 years, again, he's going to be one of those guys that you could help us down the road.
Right.
So anyhow, I guess.
Yep.
Try to stop interrupting you here, but
no, it's okay. Bouncing around, not really going in too much of an order. At 170, Hunter and Tyler got split on opposite side of the bracket, so they wouldn't run into each other too early. Hunter went 2-2, picked up a couple wins to start, and then didn't wrestle as well later in the evening. He was complaining that he wasn't feeling too great partway through the tournament, and so he went 2-2.
But you said Hunter and Tyler are opposite sides. They met in the quarterfinals.
No, they didn't. I don't know what you're looking at, but they did not.
Okay.
They both got to the quarterfinals.
All right, never mind. It might have been a different tournament I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Oakland that they met in the semis. That's what it was.
But yeah, Hunter got to the semis. Tyler won his first match, got to the quarters, picked up another win on the backside, and then fell just short of a medal in a decently close match. So Tyler, another guy brand new to wrestling, just came out this fall. So to have him picking up wins throughout the season is pretty good for someone who's never wrestled before until day one.
Sure, and he's got a winning record too, and that's difficult to do when you've never wrestled before. One thing I know Coach Galinsky mentioned to me that about him, said that there's flashes that you could see. He's really starting to show some flashes of being a wrestler.
Right.
That's the way to describe it, of good wrestling technique and stuff like that. And so, once he gets it down, he might be one of those guys that shoot up real quick.
Yeah, he kind of sort of reminds me of a Justin Towie sort of guy. Strong guy, new to wrestling, so maybe by the end of next year, he's really, really coming along and timing it just right. So.
Yep, and Hunter's another one of those freshmen that spent some time in varsity, so he's got some of that experience. He's working his way down to 160. He's going to be eligible for that at the EMC tournament on Saturday. He won't be eligible on Thursday, but he has to earn that spot first.
Right.
He's got to wrestle off Joe and also Keaton to get there. So because Ryan Green now is out for the season with his injury, that he's going to have to go through a couple guys to get there, and and so that's not a guarantee, but because both those guys, Joe's been around now a second year, and Keaton, is a very talented athlete that has got a long ways to go wrestling wise, based off of experience, but I have high hopes for him down the road too. We just got to get him more experience and more practices and learn how to practice a little bit better too. But that's not unusual for freshmen.
Yep. 82, Carter picked up a win. Went 1-2, but picked up a win over a Gretna kid. And then at 220, Jake won the tournament. Wrestled really well the entire tournament. Had 2 pins and one almost major, and really just looked the part. Looked like a good wrestler out there. Looked like he should dominate everybody, and pretty much did. So, not much else to say about that other than he was better than everybody else.
That's good. Some of this I'm taking from Coach Galinsky because I talked to him too about it, and some of my observations. Watching Jake wrestle, the JV match at the duel, he had to wrestle a guy that was 250 pounds there, and Jake's 215.
Right.
But that was because they didn't have a 220. That was their first thing. And the second thing was their 250-pound wrestler was a senior, and it was senior night for them, and they really wanted to get him a match. And so Jake went out there, and actually I thought he wrestled him fairly well. He lost that match in the JV mainly because the guy was a lot heavier and more mature, and Jake just needs to learn a little more experience about getting better angles and because he was getting on some shots, and that guy wasn't going to do anything but sit there and wait for a shot and then lay on him and put all his weight on him, and that was Jake's just not mature enough yet and to be able to handle that, and needs to set up his shots a little better. But he's starting to show some offense. I really like that. I think he's going to be, very good for us down the road too. The number one thing he needs is maturity and experience.
It's kind of the tail for all the freshmen.
Well, right. When you're a freshman wrestling 215, any of those upper weights, anything in the upper weights, for a freshman, it's hard because the guys are, they got hair in their chest and everywhere else, and they've been lifting weights for the last several years and are strong, and you come in as a freshman, no hair in the armpits yet, and Jake's strong for his age, but not like some of those guys have been around for 3-4 years. But he'll get there. I like the direction he's going. I happy to see him starting to create some offense, and like you said, in this tournament he wrestled very well against kids his size and fairly close in age. So that's a good sign of what's going to happen in about 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
And you also mentioned Carter in there too briefly. That Coach Galinsky said the same. Said something about him that I've been noticing too. Is he starting? You could see some improvements in him and him starting to learn and develop. That and again, he's in a big weight class.
Yes.
Going against juniors, seniors, and so give him some time and if he keeps working hard, he'll be fine.
Yep. As far as the team went, took 5th there. Skylar won the tournament, but they brought just about twice as many kids as everybody else. They had 28 wrestlers. We had 13. So they brought a lot of wrestlers. Maybe that might lend to next year. Elkhorn limits how many JVs you can bring, so we're not going till 11 o'clock at night. But
I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know. Plattsmouth wasn't there because they had a rescheduled event that day, so maybe that doesn't change much with Skylar having 28 versus basically there are 2 teams there.
Well, probably what that did was that you got out at 11:30 instead of midnight. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I was watching too the team results, and you only allow one score per weight class. So even though Skylar didn't, had 20 some kids, only 14 scored. But on the other hand, we only had 9 scoring.
Right.
So they had a lot more opportunities to score. Out of the top teams, we had the least amount of guys scoring. So I was pleased with the results as far as the team scores. That's okay. Obviously we want to win it, but we also got a lot of freshmen wrestling the varsity right now. That when you bring these kids up and all these teams age and develop, when we'll be adding a bunch to that, and guys will have a lot more success and team wise. So anyhow, I thought that was a good thing. Maybe not great, but a good thing on this team results so far.
Yeah, and I think we were in second place sometime partway through the semifinals. So we were up there with everybody for a while there.
Yeah, I was kind of watching that. This is when I got home, and they're real close. I mean, 105. At one point, we were right with Elkhorn South, who finished second. And Platteview was third at 111.5. So that's 5.5 points, or 6.5 points. Out of third place. That I think there's one match that could have went either way. Is either Gretna or I think it's Platteview actually. That if we win that match, we're ahead of them.
Yep.
And that would put us up to third place, and really not, in striking distance of Elkhorn South, who had more scorers again than us. So,
right.
Good results. I thought overall, the important things I see and hear is seeing the guys are improving and getting better all the time. And that's what we want to see. We can't control what happened in the past. We can't control that, guys didn't, come out before their middle school or didn't come out before this year. Those things you can't control. That's all done and over with. We can only go forward and develop the kids as they go. And the same thing with the kids. They can't dwell on, hey, I wish I would have wrestled when I was 5. And,
right.
I'd be a lot better right now. Well, yeah, probably, but nothing you can do about that now. So let's focus on getting better every day. And these young guys have enough time to reach their potential by the time there's juniors and seniors, that if they do the right things and work hard, they have time. Usually what the starting earlier in your career, like around your 5, 6, 7 years old, usually just means you have more success early on in high school. But in the end, these guys should do just fine. So as long as they keep their heads on straight and work hard and not get discouraged, they'll be just fine by the time they leave high school.
Yep. So Thursday we had the Omaha Burke duel. We saw them earlier this season at the Fracas, and this is a tough duel,
Yep.
to say the least. Number 2 team in Class A right now, ratings wise. So.
Yep. And they won the Metro Conference tournament the weekend before over the number 1 team in Class A, and really that would be all class. So I mean they're battling for number 1 all class. So yes, a very tough team, and yes, we scheduled them on purpose. It's one of those things that they're probably at their best they've been in many years, and we're just we're just not experienced. Probably our lowest experience in many years, as many as possibly 40 years. So, the timing isn't the best for that. But if you go back the last 10 years, I say we win half those duels at least. And I think going forward, like we talk about these guys as they get older and more mature, they're, and learn how to wrestle, we'll be very competitive with them going forward too. It's just one of those years where we're off. I mean, there may be a few years down the road where it's the opposite, where they've got some inexperience, and we're an experienced team and we're pounding them. But That's kind of difficult when you're talking about a Class A school because usually they're pretty consistent and they are one of the elite teams. Not year in and year out. I would say, they're well coached. They got some great coaches on their staff. They do a lot of the right things in the off season, so they're a very solid team. And you look at them right now. I mean, it's pretty amazing. They just have one world team member on here, and these guys are qualified for a world team by winning national championships to get there. So I mean, these are earned things, not just something where they signed up to be on some team that went overseas. They earned it by winning a national championship, and so they got 2 world team members. They got a Fargo All-American, another state champion, returning state champion that is not included in that group, and other guys who put in I see a lot of off-season wrestling. So very, very solid team, to wrestle. And like you said, we wrestled them early in the year, and that was ugly. Not only the score, but also, the one-on-one matchups. We just didn't have the intensity they had. We, whether it was forced on us by them just dominating or whatever. But, that first duel wasn't pretty. So going into this duel, I'm a little nervous. I know it's going to be tough. But the one thing I wanted to see was improvements from the last one. Did we improve any? That's the main thing. We got to look at it getting better all the time, and so that was kind of our goal. We knew that it was going to be tough to beat them, but we needed some upsets for that to happen, and a lot of good things. Or them get struck with a lot of illnesses and not be there, but they did come in full strength. I think, and actually maybe stronger than they did the first time because they were open at 113 at the Fracas, but they had a 13-pounder here. And the only other, everybody else was the same except for 138. They had a different kid in there, and that kid wrestled the Metro tournament. He apparently he told Colby that the only reason why that kid was wrestling, or the kid Colby wrestled at Fracas, said that the only reason why he's not wrestling in the duels because the other guy's a senior and he's letting him. But that doesn't make sense because he didn't wrestle in the Metro tournament.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there. And, and that kid Colby wrestled the first time, he was wrestling JV, so he's not injured. So I don't know if the kid's making up stories saying, that he got beat out and making it up or what's going on there. But my feeling is the 2 kids are pretty equal in ability. I don't know. One's beating out the other back and forth probably. But anyhow, either way, otherwise they had a full team. And in fact, more than they had the first time. And so when we wrestled, the second time, I was happy with the results. I'm not happy about losing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, and the score was not pretty either, but it was better. Think about the world team members, the Fargo All-Americans, the state champions on their team across the board. From lower weights to upper weights, all the way. And that's spread out pretty good. And them being partners and working together, you would say, the average person would say, there's no way Bennington, with the experience level we have, will take on a team that has all these world team members, Fargo All-Americans, state champs, and all that. That Bennington's going to get better than them. They're going to close the gap. No way. That shouldn't happen. I mean, think about it. Everybody talks about, hey, you have great partners in your room to become great. Well, we don't have that they have. Become great.
Multiple world team members and state champs, and
right. But what I was really happy about was they scored less points than they did. I mean, they're 50s both time, but they scored less. We scored more. Not a lot, but we did score more. So yes, we scored. So we're progress there. And not only that, every individual match just about was closer than the last time, and we were far more competitive. Another thing I tell our guys, I say, if you're going to get beat by somebody, I want you to wrestle them so hard, and keep attacking, never quit, never give up. I want them to walk off that mat, that when they come shake my hand, it looks like they lost the match. And I say that a lot, but it doesn't always happen a lot.
Right.
It does sometimes, but funny thing is, I swear there's at least 2 or 3 of those guys that came and shook my hand looked like they were beaten. One of them was kind of halfway limping off the mat and looked like he had lost, and guys just not coming off and exhausted.
Right.
And then our guys they shake hands, come around, talk to us, and our guys are, they're not happy, but they're not exhausted like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, I thought we were in much better shape than them. Second of all, I thought we improved more than they improved. We closed the gap. I mean, we couldn't quite overcome that gap, but we closed it in a lot of places. So like I said, there's in no conceivable way with all that they got that we should close a gap on them. And we did, so I'm real proud of our guys for that. And that takes them, a couple things. First, believing in what we're doing, and second of all, putting in the hard work to get there. So,
right.
Real proud of our guys for that. And I guess I'm not happy with the loss or how big the loss was, but I was really happy with the progress and that we can close a gap on an elite team like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just one of those years, and when we're back to where we're normally at with a lot of state medalists and champions, we're gonna do fine. So
yep.
Anyhow, that's about that for that duel. I don't know if there's some individual things in there. We can go on about those, but I guess a couple, I'd say, starting off with, looking back at what we did, the fracas, and compared to now, Luke McDonald was wrestling there, number 2 guy in the state, and pretty much got manhandled and pinned at the fracas, and then here in this duel, he was actually winning in the second period, halfway through the second period, and when he got tossed and pinned, let's see how much time was there on that, but
it was almost the end of the second period. It looks like 3:53.
Okay, yeah, that'd be close to the end of the second period. So he was winning for almost 2/3 of the match, and then he got tossed and pinned, and I was yelling to get out of that tie, and he didn't, and the kid had just too much leverage, but this track wrestling, there we go. 3:53. Yeah, that's only 7 seconds left in the period.
Right.
And Luke was ahead at that time, so great turnaround for him. Wrestled him really well up to that last little bit, and just, I would say, probably a freshman mistake. That he's feeling comfortable. He's beating this guy, and he's okay with tying up with him, but he should learn that, hey, that you don't need to get that tie, especially the guy who's got leverage on you.
Right.
And so, but anyhow, that went well. We had Logan Burmester. I was pleased how he wrestled. He ended up wrestling somebody different. I think James Burks was scared of him, so he dropped down to 160. But he had to wrestle like Kelly, which wrestled Ryan, in the fracas, and he just manhandled Ryan, and I would say early in the year, if Ryan and Logan wrestled each other, I would probably go with Ryan as winning that match. But Logan did a nice job. He was wrestling him tough, and it looked like he was going to get out of the match. He wasn't going to win it in the end, but he wasn't going to get pinned, and he made the guy work, and then he kind of got caught right at the end in the third period, and and unfortunately got pinned there. But I liked how he battled him, so that was good. And, Buzz, he just went through. He does what Buzz does, goes out there and manhandles the guys and pins him. And that kid's a good kid. I mean, you look at his record, that's a tough kid. And so Buzz is really looking good. Then we had Benton. He had to go up against our state champ. That was a tough match. Garrett going against Sales from Burke, who's been rated part of the year, a returning medalist, and a great football player for them. Garrett's match at the Fracas, he only beat him by 3, but here he ended up getting a major decision, 9-1. So he separated there, and that was great to see. And Garrett's continued to improve. Then at 285, Aiden didn't wrestle at the Fracas. And we were open at that one. But Aiden, it took him to the second period. That kid's rated pretty high. I think he's rated 6th in Class A. And last year Aiden would have been pinned in about 30 seconds on a guy like that. Mm-hmm. So, good progress for Aiden. Still got some ways to go, and some things came out of that we could help him, and we talked about that yesterday too. And so he'll just be better for it. Then you look at 106 was the next match. Hunter Anderson wrestles a Rubino, who's a Fargo All-American, and so very, very tough kid. And the last time that was about a 20 or 30 second pin last time. In fact, 21 seconds last time. And it was really, he never really gave him a match then. Mm-hmm. But here, yes, it was a first period pin. Yeah, 150 right at the end of the first period. But it was different type of match. Rubino got the takedown, Hunter got away, and then they really battled. Hunter came close to getting some takedowns. They were in some scrambles, and Hunter's really wrestling them well and looking impressive. Considering Hunter didn't start wrestling until last year in middle school, had a little bit of middle school in 8th grade, and then now this year. So something like that shouldn't even be on the mat with a guy that's a Fargo All-American or even close. And Hunter was battling with them and really made him earn it, and then just got in a situation that looked like that he wasn't familiar with, because of experience, and gets caught on his back, and then that was it. But really proud of how he wrestled him, and good signs of what can come. Mm-hmm. Definitely a long ways to go yet, but he's came a long ways and showing the potential to even go further. Then we had Walker. Walker had a kid. I'm not sure what grade he was, but he looked pretty mature. When a guy at 113 pounds comes out with hair on his chest, he's an older guy, more mature, but he's no freshman out there. Maybe not their best guy, but he's Class A wrestler on a great team, and partners all around him to make him better. I mean, Fargo All-American below him and a world medalist above him. Yeah. So, he's got the partners in room. So, Walker's that was kind of a back and forth match at first, and then Walker puts him on his back and gets the pin. So we're real happy about that. When Walker gets some confidence, he's tough. Gavin gets Jacason Burks, which that's one of the world team members, and in fact, Jacason wrestled at Who's Number One, mm-hmm. which is you can explain what Who's Number One is.
It's the top 2 guys in the country in basically a duel. It's set up as a duel, but more or less it's top 2 guys in the country battling it out for the top spot back in October, and we had that on Flow Wrestling. So Jacason went up there and had a close match. And actually, I thought he didn't wrestle his best during that match. I thought he normally would win that match, but something was off that day. But yeah, so arguably second best kid in the country.
Yeah, and Gavin gets him.
Yeah, and they, and Jacason, he was just launching kids at Fargo. So, throwing guys all even in the national championship match is just sends a guy flying over top his head, and he's pretty good.
Yeah, he was an outstanding wrestler at Fargo, which Fargo is during the summer. It's the premier high school tournament in the country. It's where all the college coaches go to recruit, and you if you're an outstanding wrestler at that tournament, that's pretty good.
You're the best in the country at all weights.
Yes,
with that.
So Gavin gets him, and funny thing with that match is that, and obviously that kid's just so far ahead of Gavin right now but Gavin was not afraid to go out and wrestle him. That's impressive. I've seen kids like in those situations, they're just scared to death. Gavin was going to off the whistle try hitting a blast double, and after he came off the mat, says he backed up on me. It was funny, So Gavin wanted to do it, but the kid backed away, and so I said, "Yeah, you're scared of you, Gavin. Lucky for him." So next going on, Matthew Coe, had a real exciting match. The last time they wrestled, the fracas. Let's see, that thing was 8-2. Matthew loses. And really wasn't overly competitive in that match. But here, a great match, exciting to watch too. Matthew loses in overtime, but did lead going into, I think, the second period, or third period, I mean, if I remember right. But, the kid ended up tying it up. And Matthew, I think he got a reversal on Matthew, I believe, that tied it up. And then right at the end of the match, with less than 30 seconds left, we're scrambling, trying to get out of there and trying to get something. And the kid was hanging on for dear life, and about choked Matthew out in the process, because he did have an arm and wrapped around the neck too. So everything was legal, but the guy's hanging on for dear life, and Matthew's trying to score and get that 1 point at least, or 2, whatever it took, and he was so close, and so he actually had to take a little injury time to get his breath back, because he fought so hard and he was basically choked out almost, but ended up losing that in overtime. But good to see that improvement, to where you get beat 8-2 and not really look competitive, to really leading the match and really right in a tight match that could have went either way. So, great improvement there. Then Robert Greenwood, their kid's pretty tough, and Robert lost the first one by, 8-3, and actually lost this one by a little bit more, but I thought in this one, Robert was a little more active. He got takedown in there. He got better shots on him. The difference why he ended up losing by more is because he got put on his back this time, and last time he didn't, and just needed to not make those mistakes to get to his back. But outside of that, I thought he wrestled better, but it just didn't turn out that way. And then Colby's match, that's the one where we talked about, where is that guy varsity or is he not? Guy. Well, if he's not varsity, he's pretty equal.
I mean, he wrestled, like you said, he wrestled at the Metro tournament, so.
Yep, and their Metro duels, he split time with that guy, so the other guy. But anyhow, so great to see Colby take, the first time he lost 8-3 to the other kid, and then turns that around to a 6-0 win, and almost gets a major decision there, which was great to see. Then we can move on to Zach Utek's match. He, he ended up getting pinned, but I thought he wrestled that kid a lot tougher again. He got pinned early in the first period, in the first duel, but this one he battled with them. It looked like he was going to score a time or two on some nice shots. Zach, when he wrestles a little more intensity, he wrestles better, and we had a little bit of blood time. I was able to have a discussion with him about that, and he about gets a takedown on the kid, and but ends up battling him all the way to the end, and wrestling him a lot better than last time, and gets pinned right at the end of the third period. But We like to hang on to those and not get pinned and not give a bonus, but
Right.
but the positive you could take out of that is the improvements you've seen from last time. So anyhow, that kind of wraps up all that. I mean, you had only the last one match we didn't talk about is James Burks and Keaton Andrews. I mean, again, there's a world team member going against a freshman that has 1 year experience. That's it. Started wrestling in 8th grade, and that's it. Just 1 year. Just started a year ago in January, and just not a fair matchup. But Keaton will have a lot better days down the road. It doesn't get any tougher than that, Keaton. So
That's for sure.
So that's pretty much that whole duel there.
Like we mentioned, Lexington invite got canceled for us. They still had the tournament, but we weren't able to travel with the bad weather, so we didn't attend. And you mentioned in the email that we're going to be looking for a makeup potentially on February 2nd, which is normally the state duels. That's why I had to go through that first. So if we likely don't qualify, what are we looking at?
Yeah, well, if we do schedule something and somehow all the moon and stars and sun line up and planets all line up that we make the state duels, we'll be able to get out and go to it. But yeah, we have something in the works. I don't want to make an announcement until we're 100% sure. As of Friday, there was there's communications between me and their coach, getting information about their tournament, and Mr. Lamberty and their AD. At the end, their AD says, yes, we'll make it work. I told Mr. Lamberty after that, okay, let's do it. Mm-hmm. And that was late in the day Friday. So, we'll hear something probably tomorrow morning.
Yep.
That, because that was late Friday and everybody's going home for the weekend or whatever. And there might have been some communication over the weekend that I didn't see, because it actually was from my work email, and I haven't been on that email since Friday. So,
well, and there's a number of other teams looking to make up too on that weekend. So, and a number of tournaments available. So we're not the only ones looking for makeup.
Yep.
So,
and that was part of we had a couple options we were looking at. One of the options says yes, they're going to think about it over the weekend, and we're concerned about if we wait, and that was probably our first option to go to the other tournament. But if we wait, the second option closes because they fill up. Mm-hmm. And then the first one says, "No, sorry, we got somebody else. We're happy with that. We're good. We don't want to be left hanging with nothing." And it's a tough weekend because of state duels. There's not a lot of tournaments out that weekend, so it's hard to find a good one that fits what we want. At least we're gonna get some mat time. That's what we're looking for.
Right.
So hopefully we have an announcement on Monday. Parents will get that email when I do find out, either Monday or Tuesday sometime, I'm assuming. I'm sure the kids will be the first to know in practice.
Right. Speaking of next week, we have the Papillion La Vista duel on Thursday night, and the EMC tournament on Saturday. Any other things you want to go through as far as practice or previews of those?
Just a normal week of practice leading up to the Papillion La Vista duel, which is parents' night too. So hopefully see all the parents there, and nothing really exciting in that area as far as practice goes. We do. I guess there is Monday. They don't have school because of the holiday, but we do have a normal 3:30 practice that day. So that's the only thing really it's different than normal. It's just no school. EMC tournament this weekend at Waverly. Obviously our conference is very tough. We'll see. We did well at the dual tournament. We're competitive, a lot of teams. We'll see how things work out there individually. It's going to be important for some of our guys in district seeding.
Right.
So hopefully we have a successful tournament there. And I guess talking about Pavilion La Vista, again, they're number 6th ranked in Class A, so we're another tough duel. Highly ranked top 10 Class A school. So hopefully we get a great crowd coming in at our school. Get the student section there, get them to come to support the seniors' last chance at home, and maybe we can sneak out an upset win there. So start scouting, and we'll see. I got to do a little bit more work, but we'll see.
And then outside of the high school, we have the kids tournament on Sunday. So after we get back from Waverly from the EMC tournament, we'll be setting up for the kids tournament, and then the kids will be wrestling in the youth program at home. Any of the youth parents listening, make sure you go sign up, or anybody listening that's got youth, you got to sign up. Just go to arena.flowwrestling.org and look for the Bennington Youth Tournament on there.
Or if you don't know how to find that, or don't remember, most likely, just go to the Bennington Wrestling website, benningtonwrestling.com, and look under the I think it's under club and then the tournament. So the link is there for it. And one comment about that is our biggest by far fundraiser of the year, and that pays for a lot of stuff that we do with our program from the youth all the way through high school. So we really need your help to set up or to work it. Sign up sheets are out there. I'll resend them out to reminders to people. Parents have always done a great job in helping out, and I assume that'll continue on. And we have more parents now, so hopefully it's easier to fill all the spots. With our youth club being 100 kids and our high school being 30 kids and middle school really being around 40. So, I add that all up. That's a lot of families, and so should be able to get the help. But we do need the help to run it. It's we make a lot of money, and a lot goes back to, and it all goes back to the kids in some way or another, whether it's awards, our youth provides the singlets for them, a lot of different things, a scholarship to college scholarship to one of the high school kids graduating, and what money is left at the end of the year, or at the end of the season, not necessarily year, at the end of the season during the summer, it all goes back into camps, and we paid for at least half the camp last year. The kids went out to Valentine, and it also paid for some of the summer league wrestling. So, there's a lot of money that goes back to the parents, and so, this is our way of raising the money. We don't sell cookies or anything else. It's just one big day event, and then our little event with the Bennington Invitational high school tournament.
Right.
Outside of that, that's really the only fundraising we do. So hopefully get a lot of support in not only running that, but also in kids signing up and attending.
Yep. So it doesn't look like we have any outside questions that came in during the show. I guess double check everything. Normally we don't, but I don't want to say that and then have someone tweet us at the last second. Yep, so no outside questions. Did you get any other emails or questions from parents that we haven't gone over?
Not at this point.
Alrighty, so that's pretty much it for the show today. With Bennington Kids Tournament next Sunday, we will not have the show next Sunday, so you'll have to tune in 2 weeks.
You can always listen to replay if you need to get it fixed. Or really, you should be working at the club tournament.
Yeah, should be you could probably chat with us at some point here or there at the club tournament. Otherwise, we'll have a double show in 2 weeks where we'll recap EMC, we'll recap the duel, we'll recap the probably pending next tournament, and then preview for districts.
Yeah, that's coming around the corner. Real
previewing
quick.
districts the next show. Wow. All right. I can't believe we're already at that point of the season. It's hard to believe already.
Yep. I told the guys there's 15 practices left, and that includes the week of state.
Yeah. So tune in 2 weeks on February 3rd, 2:00. We'll see you then.